Two poor men from the bottom of society conspired to kidnap a famous female entrepreneur, and the reason was actually saving the earth.
Its hair is still attached, it can track us remotely, so we want to go as quick as we can.
It turns out the two kidnappers believed the woman was an alien spy from the Andromeda galaxy. The chemicals produced by her company are tools to destroy the Earth. That's why they devised this extremely absurd kidnapping. In this way, the female entrepreneur was taken to the basement. The two kidnappers then applied a large amount of white viscous liquid to her body.
Why are we doing this?
Its genetic structure is the same as ours. But its nervous system is different.
Teddy, the mastermind of the kidnapping, told his foolish cousin Donnie. Only in this way could they prevent her from contacting her mothership. Before long, the woman finally woke up, but she was immediately shocked by the sight in front of her.
Why have you shaved off my hair?
To prevent you from contacting your ship.
Female entrepreneur Michelle was instantly shocked by Teddy's words. Her ship? What ship? She probably never dreamed that she was kidnapped just because of honey-gathering bees. Several days earlier, beekeeper Teddy invited his cousin Donnie, who has mild autism, to his home, saying he had discovered a great secret. According to Donnie, 1/3 of people's food is obtained through bee pollination, so bees are extremely important. But recently, Teddy has noticed that honeybee colonies around the world are suffering from colony collapse disorder. Worker bees are abandoning their queens one after another. Eventually, the entire hive is destroyed. Bees are dying off the face of the earth, although reports say this is caused by pesticides or habitat loss. Some also believe it is the result of bioengineering by governments around the world and their agribusiness giants to manipulate the global food supply. But Teddy has a different opinion. He believes there is a much bigger conspiracy at play. After Teddy's relentless online investigation, he finally uncovered the truth. It is aliens from the Andromeda galaxy who are destroying the Earth. And he has also found their spy. It is Michelle, the CEO of the world's largest biotechnology company. Teddy firmly believes in his judgment, so he called his cousin Donnie to help him kidnap the alien and bring her back for interrogation. To save the Earth they depend on for survival. Donnie has never had the ability to make judgments. He followed Teddy without hesitation before Teddy even had a chance to brainwash him much. After that, the two began preparing to kidnap Michelle. They exercised at home every day, researching how to block the alien spy from contacting her mothership. Once they figured out a way, the two went to a hardware store and made a big purchase, buying antihistamine cream, razors, and other necessary items. Then they went to a hypermarket and picked out two very bizarre hoods, and their preparations were finally complete. In the evening, Teddy took out a syringe of progestin-based medication, saying both of them needed to be injected to achieve the effect of chemical castration.
In order for us to hit maximum focus, we have to clear our heads of all psychic compulsions.
Seeing that Donnie was a little confused, Teddy had to explain in detail. He had done extensive research on this. The more of those fillers they had, the more it would block their neurons. That way, the aliens would have a greater advantage over them.
Wanted to be with someone someday.
It's all neurons, dude. Kill the urges like I have. Be your own master.
Donnie looked at his cousin's confident expression and had to believe him. And so, Donnie was injected with the progestin-based medication. At this time, Michelle, who was working at the company, had no idea that she had been targeted by a neurotic and an autistic person. But whether in appearance or speech, Michelle seemed so normal, even overly appropriate. There were no signs that she was an alien, and as an influential figure in this country, Michelle had a lot to do every day. Moreover, she was also a very good boss. She not only never asked employees to work overtime, but also often provided better benefits for her subordinates. After finishing all the company's affairs that day, Michelle drove home while listening to music, unaware that her joy would soon be interrupted. Teddy and Donnie never expected that Michelle was also someone who exercised every day, and was even more capable of fighting than them, so much so that two grown men couldn't subdue a single woman. Fortunately, they had brought a dose of anesthetic, which prevented them from ruining the kidnapping plan. Later, the two took the shaven-headed Michelle back to the basement and imprisoned her there.
How can you tell she's an alien?
Well, the signs are obvious.
Although the alien's appearance was very well crafted, there were still flaws. Then Teddy pointed out the flaws to his cousin: narrow feet, thin cuticles, and slightly protruding teeth. The biggest flaw was her high hair density. How could a working human have such thick hair? After explaining, Teddy took his cousin to apply the antihistamine cream to Michelle. During this time, they also found time to change into decent clothes. At the very least, they shouldn't lose face in front of the alien. Shortly after applying the cream, Michelle woke up looking confused. When she saw Teddy and Donnie, she realized she had been kidnapped.
Company is a key job creator and economic engine of the region. I am crucial. Think of it like you abducted the governor.
She also said that within the next 48 hours, the police and the FBI would launch a statewide manhunt, using all resources to find her, a famous female entrepreneur. If the two of them didn't want to make things worse, it would be best to let her go immediately. But Michelle also promised, as long as their demands were not excessive, she would fulfill whatever she could. But these words gave Teddy goosebumps. Instantly,
You got a real human response out of me there, which is impressive given your cellular composition and all.
Teddy exposed Michelle's lie. Nothing she said was true, for in the Andromedan understanding, objective human truths are worthless. Teddy also said that Michelle's real identity was a senior official of the Andromeda Royal Court. She had helped her race achieve technological enslavement on Earth, as well as the dismantling of agribusinesses. Teddy's main purpose in capturing her was to make Michelle take him to the mothership, to meet and hold detailed talks with members of the Andromeda royal family on the night of the lunar eclipse, and the ultimate goal was to make them evacuate Earth. After listening, Michelle explained with a helpless look on her face that she wasn't an alien. How could she arrange a meeting? Teddy felt a little angry at being refuted. He took a recorder out of his pocket and told Michelle to record a message to her emperor. Teddy also warned Michelle with a serious look on his face, "You killed my family, my community, my colleagues. You also killed the bees. The only reason I can hold back from killing you now is that I can still stay rational." But Michelle still looked confused. Teddy no longer wasted time, turned around and left the basement with his cousin. But in the evening, Donnie saw Michelle crying on the monitor, and he suddenly felt a little sympathy for her. But Teddy told Donnie not to see her as a human woman. This alien was deliberately acting pitiful, just to arouse your sympathy. She's acting. Donnie, don't be deceived by appearances. After being enlightened by Teddy, Donnie quickly apologized, and promised he wouldn't mess things up. There are still 4 days until the lunar eclipse. On the day of the lunar eclipse, the Andromedan spacecraft can return to Earth undetected. According to the plan, Teddy needs Michelle to take them to the mothership for negotiations. This matter is extremely important. It concerns the life and death of every person on Earth. They must become the heroes who save the Earth. In the middle of the night, Teddy suddenly fell into memories. At that time, his mother was still alive, but she had been seriously ill from taking experimental drugs from a biotechnology company. This was a huge blow to Teddy. Time quickly came to the next day. The sensible Michelle began to take the initiative to apply cream to her body, while Teddy rode his bike to his part-time job at a courier packaging station. If he didn't hold multiple jobs, he couldn't support himself and Donnie. During lunch, major TV stations had already started broadcasting news about Michelle. Now police across the state were searching for her with all their strength. The police also appealed to the public for clues. But Teddy found it a little ridiculous. How many people go missing on the streets every day? Why don't we see such a big fuss? After returning home, Teddy and Donnie went to the basement again. He turned on the recorder and listened. In the recording, Michelle said, "I am an alien from outer space. I live on Earth, but I am not human. My mothership is coming to Earth. I want to take my new friends with me." Coupled with that casual tone, anyone who listens will only think it's a joke. So Teddy was extremely angry. "It's come to this, how dare you, an alien, fool me." Teddy was so angry that he smashed the recorder to pieces on the spot. Just then, Michelle suddenly spoke up, that she also had a degree in psychology. She thought Teddy was trapped in an echo chamber. The conspiracy theory content Teddy browsed online had reinforced this distorted and overly subjective idea. but Teddy couldn't listen to Michelle's advice, because he couldn't out-argue Michelle. He even violently slammed the stool in anger, but Michelle maintained a calm and gentle tone throughout, guiding Teddy to realize his mistakes. But Teddy said he didn't want money, power, or even sex. When she heard that Teddy had chemically castrated himself, Michelle looked even more shocked.
Teddy, I'm sorry. You need help? You're mentally ill.
But Teddy still refused to communicate. After leaving the basement, he vented his anger wildly in the car. Only after calming down did Teddy continue with his plan. In fact, Teddy didn't discover them on his own. He saw the world by standing on the shoulders of several popular YouTube bloggers, and succeeded in modeling and rendering the Andromedan spacecraft. The next day, 2 days before the lunar eclipse, Michelle, who realized the two brothers were both insane, began to try to break free from her restraints, but the chains were tied too tightly, and she couldn't untie them by herself for the time being. Shortly after, Teddy brought Donnie to the basement again. This time, Michelle didn't play any more tricks, but spoke in a very sincere tone, that she was indeed an alien, and part of her mission on Earth was to integrate into Earth's life. Michelle had thought that by saying what Teddy wanted to hear, he would let her go. Unexpectedly, Teddy actually held a deep grudge against her, so Michelle was tied to the electric chair.
I am an alien!
I agree.
Do you have the time?
Dottie on the side was stunned. Hadn't she already admitted it? Why put her in the electric chair? But Teddy still stubbornly pressed the button, and the current intensity kept increasing. Michelle let out a shrill scream instantly. Dottie felt a little unbearable. He tried to rush forward to stop it but was pushed away by Teddy. In the end, the current reached an unimaginable intensity. The indoor circuits began to spark. Dottie quickly pulled off the wires, while Teddy also had a look of disbelief.
The output, it's never reached that threshold before.
Before?
Could you get me a towel, please?
It seemed that this wasn't the first time Teddy had done something like this. Later, Teddy actually took the initiative to cut the restraints on Michelle. Teddy muttered to himself, "I thought you were just an administrator. I never expected you to have royal blood." At this moment, his thoughts drifted back to the past. His mother had become a vegetative state due to the experiment. Teddy had gone to Michelle to demand an explanation. Michelle had taken the initiative to take responsibility, not only apologized but also covered all the medical expenses. But Teddy hadn't let go of his resentment because of this. After all, his mother had never woken up again. Time returned to the present. There was only 1 day left until the lunar eclipse. Teddy first rode to the supermarket to buy some instant food, then moved Michelle upstairs, saying he wanted to give Michelle the royal treatment she deserved. Though she still needed to be tied up, Michelle ate the cheap food she never touched, while chatting with Teddy calmly and unobtrusively.
I see you're apiarist.
Of sorts.
Magnificent creatures, honeybees.
Very much so.
Earth's most admirable creation.
Michelle praised bees for their clear division of labor and dedication to the collective. No complaints, no fanaticism, and no self-indulgence. But Teddy's expression changed instantly when he heard this. He asked Michelle if she knew that bees are currently facing colony collapse disorder. Michelle admitted that one of her company's drugs had indeed had an impact on bee populations, but after remediation, the bees had gradually returned.
You want the bees to be dying, so that it can be my fault.
But in fact, the cause of species extinction lies with humans. These words instantly ignited Teddy's anger. He thought Michelle was still lying. Just as Teddy was accusing Michelle, she suddenly mentioned Teddy's mother's name. It turned out Michelle had remembered who Teddy was, and understood why he had kidnapped her. But the drug experiment that Teddy's mother participated in was indeed very valuable. If the experiment succeeded, it would save millions of people. But the more Michelle talked, the angrier Teddy became. In the end, when Michelle offered to compensate them, Teddy pounced on her immediately, then grabbed Michelle by the neck. Donnie on the side was instantly dumbfounded, not knowing whether to stop him. But just then, the police officer in charge of the area took the initiative to come to the door for inspection. Teddy had to quickly move the unconscious Michelle back to the basement. After inviting the police officer in, he hastily turned off the monitoring screen. As expected, the police officer had come about Michelle. He said that on the night of the abduction, Michelle's phone had sent a message to a signal tower in the area, and nearby speed cameras had also captured Michelle's car. so he had come to ask the surrounding residents if they had seen Michelle. Teddy quickly said that neither he nor his cousin had seen her. Teddy had thought the police officer would leave right away, but the other party sat down and started talking to Teddy. The police officer said guiltily that he shouldn't have bullied Teddy when he was young. It turned out this police officer had bullied Teddy for many years, and now that he was older, he felt remorseful and wanted to apologize to Teddy to ease his conscience. But these words pushed Teddy over the edge.
Hey, you wanna see my bees?
On the other side, Donnie, holding a gun, was guarding Michelle in the basement. Michelle thought this was a good chance to escape, so she started to coax the low-IQ Donnie.
You know this is wrong. I know you know that. He never actually offers you a way out for you.
Michelle promised that as long as Donnie let her go, this matter would never involve him. Michelle guessed the police officer was upstairs interrogating Teddy, so she quickly frightened Donnie by saying, "The police have arrested your brother, and you're next. If you don't want to spend your whole life in prison, let me go right now." Seeing that there was no movement upstairs for a long time, Donnie actually believed Michelle's words, but Michelle never expected that Donnie was so loyal to Teddy that he chose to end his own life. The next second, Teddy at the beehives heard the gunshot. He quickly wrapped things up, killing the annoying police officer with a shovel, then hurried back to the basement only to see the scene he didn't want to see. Teddy concluded that Michelle had incited his cousin, but Michelle unceremoniously pointed out that it was Teddy who had woven a ridiculous fairy tale for his cousin, which ultimately led to Donnie's tragedy. Just as Teddy was furious, Michelle dropped a bombshell. She said she had a way to cure Teddy's vegetative mother. In fact, Teddy's mother's genetic code was being rearranged. This was a very important Andromedan experiment, which usually took 4 to 5 years. If it succeeded, she would wake up. If not, she would die. But now there was a chemical method to terminate the experiment, and Teddy's mother would wake up immediately, and the chemical reagent needed was hidden in a coolant bottle in the trunk of Michelle's car. Teddy hesitated for a moment and chose to believe Michelle, so he immediately went to get the antidote, then rode his bike straight to the hospital, and injected a syringe of blue antidote into the foredrip while the nurse wasn't looking. Before long, his mother passed away immediately. It turned out Michelle had been lying to Teddy. It was just car coolant. Teddy let out a painful and angry howl, then hurried back home to get revenge on Michelle. As soon as Teddy left, Michelle managed to break free from her restraints. Then she started looking for a way to escape, but accidentally discovered a hidden secret room. Glass bottles contained various human fragments. There was even an unbutchered body on the table. Michelle found a notebook, which contained more murder records. It turned out that in the name of hunting aliens, Teddy had kidnapped, killed and studied many people. The more Michelle read, the more shocked she became. Obviously, Teddy was a mentally ill serial killer. Soon, Teddy returned.
You lied to me.
How many were Andromedons?
2.
Before Teddy could vent his anger, Michelle spoke in an unusually firm tone. "Do you know why I look like a human being?" Then Michelle began to tell Teddy a story. The 75th Emperor of Andromeda was the first to discover Earth. At that time, the planet was still ruled by dinosaurs, but due to a momentary oversight, they spread a deadly virus to Earth, which led to the extinction of all life on Earth. Unable to bear it, the 75th Emperor decided to endow the Earth with new life, humans. But as humans developed and multiplied, some humans sought to surpass their creators, the Andromedans, so they created a stronger and more aggressive new human race in laboratories. A nuclear conflict eventually broke out, destroying most of humanity. Only a handful of chosen people boarded the Ark, and sailed on the oceans for a century. But when they could finally return safely to land, the leaders of the Ark had passed away, leaving only some mutated samples, which were the degenerate half-human apes. Later, evolution proceeded in a chaotic direction, eventually becoming the humans of today, constantly killing each other in endless wars, committing genocide and destroying the ecological environment. The Andromedans, represented by Michelle, came to Earth to eliminate the impure genes in the new human race. Some of them would rather eliminate all humans outright, but the current emperor believes there is still hope, which is why those experiments exist. Originally, Michelle lied to Teddy to get him arrested for administering the fluid to a patient, but she never expected Teddy to actually succeed. Fortunately, there are other test subjects. Michelle must show the Emperor that humans still have the potential to improve by tomorrow, otherwise, the entire human race will be destroyed, so Teddy must cooperate with her. And so, the next day, Teddy and Michelle returned to the company together. After entering the office, Michelle dismissed the employees and closed the curtains, then took out a calculator. She told Teddy that as long as she entered 56 numbers and pressed the enter key, the link to the Andromedan spacecraft would be activated in a few minutes, and then they could teleport from the closet to the spacecraft. To prevent being deceived by Michelle again, Teddy strapped a homemade bomb to his body, then the two prepared to teleport one by one. As soon as Teddy entered, Michelle moved towards the door, but the bomb accidentally detonated the next second. Thus, the successfully rescued Michelle was taken to an ambulance. After waking up, Michelle first learned of Teddy's death from the paramedics, but the next second, Michelle quickly got out of the car and ran back to the office. This time, she started the teleportation again. After a cutscene, Michelle actually arrived on the Andromedan spacecraft. It turned out she was really an alien, so the story she told Teddy earlier must also be true. Moreover, the appearance of this spacecraft was the same as what Teddy had rendered earlier. In fact, Michelle was the current Emperor of Andromeda, because Teddy had shaved her head. She couldn't contact her people. Originally, Michelle still had illusions about humans, but after what happened with Teddy, she changed her mind. Just then, a minister reported the news. Almost all the human experiments conducted earlier had failed. Only 2 human test subjects were still alive, but the probability of the experiment succeeding was 0. Now the Andromedans needed to make a decision, because humans had endangered the lives of Earth and other species. So Emperor Michelle ordered that the age of humans would come to a complete end. After the meeting, Michelle walked to a platform. With some reluctance, she used her scepter to pierce the protective film on the Earth model. In an instant, more than 8 billion humans on Earth died simultaneously. Human bodies lay in every corner, but all other animals continued to live on Earth unharmed, including the bees Teddy had raised. The story ends here. This film uses the absurd setting of 2 men from the bottom kidnapping a famous entrepreneur to unpack multiple real-world issues such as conspiracy theories and class antagonism through a seemingly crazy farce. The core expression of the film is a critique of the cognitive distortion brought about by conspiracy theories. The protagonist Teddy attributes tragedies, such as colony collapse disorder and his mother's death, to an alien conspiracy, and brainwashes himself through online information, eventually turning his fantasies into a reason for murder and violence. At the same time, the film satirizes the division between the elite and the grassroots. As the CEO of a biotechnology company, Michelle represents the elite class that holds resources and discourse power. Her company may indeed have caused harm to the environment and individuals, but she always stands at the commanding heights of collective interests and technological progress, and ultimately ignores individual suffering. As for Teddy and Donnie, who are at the bottom of society, they can neither understand complex technological logic, nor can they confront the powerful capital forces, so they can only try to regain their voice through extreme and absurd means like kidnapping. The film uses exaggerated plots to amplify the real-world alienation, where the elite disregard the grassroots, and the grassroots resent the elite. The twist at the end of the film elevates the satirical tone of the entire story to a higher level. Human behaviors such as mutual killing and environmental destruction ultimately turned the saviors into destroyers. This is not only a negation of Teddy-style paranoia, but also a reflection on human behavior as a whole. When humans can't face their own problems, and are instead trapped by conspiracy theories and hatred, destruction may also be an outcome. That's it for today's video. Thank you all for watching. Your likes, comments and subscriptions are the greatest encouragement for us. See you next time.